All right, welcome back, guys. We are here live at Las Vegas. It is a exciting week. Radio Row, Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford for the undisputed welterweight championship of the world. Man who's going to be on the call for Showtime. Abner Morris joining us here. Abner, do you get the goosies from calling a fight now? Like, you've been in the one of the premier broadcasters now for a while. I know that you've done a lot of great things in the ring, but do you get goosed up now for something like this where you get to call a fight of this magnitude?
Of course, man. Nerve-wracking. You get texts of people, I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be like, man. And then I've just seen Eminem. I don't know if you saw that. Eminem tweeted or replied on Crawford's comments. I'm like, big names are going to be watching. So, of course, aside from that, being nervous about, who's watching, who's not. I mean, the big fight. We're talking about two monsters in their prime, legendary fight, a fight that's going to go down history, and to be part of it, obviously, it's a blessing. So yeah, I'm thrilled and I'm excited and looking forward to it.
I know you probably can't pick it because you're on the call, but what are the things that interest you most about this match, man? I don't know. Usually in a fight, I always have a strong thing coming into the week. I think this guy. But it kind of swayed me a little bit at the press conference yesterday because he's so intense about it. But man, they're both so good. What are the things that you think are the most interesting things that you're going to be looking for in this matchup?
I think you kind of hit it on point as far as usually build up or leading up to a fight, you kind of leans to a fighter because, this guy can do this a lot better than the other guy. But this is a fight that, really it's a pick-em fight. You can't really, if you choose one guy, you're not wrong. Choose the other one, definitely not wrong. Either fighter, both fighters, they're great, they're talented, their IQ level is up there. They're intelligent. They make adjustments. You talked about the confidence that you see. You see the confidence on both sides. I mean, sometimes you see it on one. It's like, oh no, I'm doubting myself. No, both are really just confident about the training. There's no such thing as a perfect training camp building up to a fight. Both the top shape, you could tell, physically, mentally. And, both of them just do it so well. And I know I'm kind of making it more difficult for you guys to, make a decision. But, it is exactly that. I'm not lying. Crawford, a switch hitter, a guy can box and punch. He wrestled in his time as well. So he kind of knows, the inside. And Spence, a guy that, has relentless pressure, a guy that will drown you, a guy that will just keep coming, keep throwing it, great body work. So, no pick here, obviously, but just I hope and I know that it will be one of the greatest fights in history. And when we talk about stylistically and performance-wise,
called plenty of Errol Spence's fights, though. What do you think makes him? What stands out about you when he does get in these championship type of fights? What are the things that make Errol Spence so special?
This guy. He lives for these moments, to be honest, Spence. You see him outside, he's so calm, quiet. He's like, yeah, And once he gets inside that ring, it's like, man, he turn on that switch and boom, it's right off. Right away, jab, 2, 3 jabs, working his way inside. And he does it so well, so patient. And once he's in there, he's just relentless with the body attack, uppercut. We saw what he did to two opponents, Brooke and Ugas, broke orbital bones. This is a powerful man that will break you down, and obviously I'm impressed. And what is more impressive about Spence is that, a lot of people probably not talking about it because they don't want to use that as an excuse, but we're talking about a man who suffered 2 big injuries, a car accident where he almost lost his life, and his detached retina, which if anyone can talk about it, it's me. I've had 2 detached retinas, and the process and the mental game that does to you. It's draining, and to see this man come back after that, and to see what he did to Ugas, it's just amazing.
Can you explain a little about what that is like when you're a fighter, and something like that, your eyesight is it just waiting on that? How? I guess, what is the mental warfare that goes on in yourself for something like that?
Yeah, when I had mine, the last one, if you guys don't remember, I was just a week and a half away from fighting Tank Davis. And then I had the detached retina, and boom, I've been out for 4 years and a half. And in the past, I had that happen to me before. So I mean, just the fact, once you hear detached retina, you think about ending career. That's it. I remember when I saw the doctor, he said, like, that's it. You can't fight no more because, it's a detached retina. It really depends on how detached it is. So I could, I'm explaining I'm sure what Spence went through. And I remember we shared messages, hey, champ, how did you deal with this? I kind of told him, like, because it's a process. You have a surgery. You have to be laying down a certain way for many days. They put this gas. They do so much to your eye, so much trauma to your eye that it's almost not impossible, but it's really hard to come back from that. I did it. My first detached retina, I became a 3-division 4-time world champion. But then the second time, it was just that much difficult to come back. And again, to see Spence come back from that and how he just like so cool about it, like, no, I'm gonna be back. And I'm sure, his family had a lot to do with the close friends to help him during those tough, difficult times. And again, you can't really see it, and people don't talk about it no more because there's nothing to talk about because the guy's good. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I'm sure he went through a lot through that process.
Do you like a fight week like this that it feels very much just like the buildup is just the greatness? We've seen Tank and Ryan Garcia. That was cool, like the back and forth. I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie. I like when guys bleep talk and all that stuff. It's fun for the buildup. It's fun for the fans. Fun for media. But there hasn't been too much of that. Like they definitely have staked their claim, but mostly everybody's just wondering about like who's better.
Right. I mean, yeah. If you compare the Tank Davis against the Ryan Garcia, that was more of social media fame. Let's not lie. Ryan he's got a big number of social media fans as well as Tank. But Tank, is a phenomenal fighter. But this fight, it's selling itself because of the fighting styles that both bring in, what they've accomplished as fighters. And the buildup is just that. Two great monsters fighting in their prime. So, I mean, there's no other way you could sell this other than, two greatness, happening Saturday night.
Do you how impressed were you with Inoue's performance against Fulton?
Man, I lost money. No. That's how impressed I was. No, man, hey, I'm gonna tell you, I thought Fulton was gonna do, not taking anything away from Inoue, but I thought there was gonna be a lot better performance from Fulton. But again, you got to give it to Inoue. I mean, the guy he's a monster, phenomenal. I mean, explosive. I mean, the way he knocked him out is just incredible. So, as there are a lot of talks already about, Inoue fighting Tank Davis, and I mean, you want to see this guy fight anyone? He's he reminds me a bit of Pacquiao in his time, in this prime when he was just so exciting, so explosive, so powerful, and you wanting to see just that, So yes, I was beyond impressed in this last fight against Fulton.
Well, I mean, 3-division champion, like, when do you know it's too much to go up? Like, you keep always wanting to test yourself. We hear about that with Spence, like, oh, I want to go up to 154 after this. Like, when do you know it's too much, and when do you know it's right that, like, it is time for me to move up?
Right. That's a good question because sometimes we go with the moment. We go like, oh, everyone's moving up. I did it one time, at bantamweight, super bantamweight, and featherweight, and at one time, I moved to lightweight, but that's not my weight class. But Pacquiao did that. When is the right time, or when do you know? I mean, you should have, because again, you as a fighter, you fall into the habit of believing in people telling you, hey, you can do it, but look at your height, look at your weight, look at your body mass, like it doesn't fit with these other heavyweights. I mean, heavy weight classes. So definitely there should be someone that can tell you, bring you down, like, hey, bro, it's not your weight class. You're a monster at this weight class state, and I hope that doesn't happen to Inoue. I yet want to see him another fight in that weight class where he's at, and then see if he could perhaps move to a heavier weight class. But he's definitely not ready. I mean, he is stylistically wise, he's ready for any opponent in any weight class. But as far as weight, I mean, come on, you can't. You be a monster in your own weight class.
Couple more before we get you out of here. Talking to Abner Marsh. You'll hear him on the Call Showtime pay-per-view. Does a fantastic job. Mauro Ranallo, Al Bernstein, the great crew of Showtime Boxing. Nobody does it better than them. Relating back to this fight with the whole weight thing, people talk about Spence, and he's talked about, oh, I want to move up and things like that. Do you imagine after the weigh-in, is there going to be a big difference between them when they rehydrate? Like, do you feel like we'll definitely notice a big difference between Spence and Crawford?
I think you will notice that. Everyone obviously feels and knows that Spence is the bigger guy. He's always fought at this weight class, so he knows how to, maneuver, manage, and gain weight after the fight. After the weigh-in. And Crawford, we've seen him from, what was it, 130, 135, smaller weight classes, moving up to welterweight. But again, his advantage that Crawford has over Spence on that sense is that he knows how to use his body well, meaning he knows how to fight as a big guy, as a small guy. He knows how to use that entire ring. He's a guy that can do it all. He's a switch hitter. So again, I don't think the weight issue is gonna have any influence in this matchup.
And my final one, engage in some silly sauce here with me for a second.
All right.
Tyson Fury is going to fight Francis Ngannou. I'm a big UFC fan too, and I feel like most boxing guys dismiss the UFC guys coming over. I kind of understand that. You guys have been doing this your whole life.
Right.
Do you have any interest in this? Like, do you like the crossover fights? Does Abner Mars find any entertainment in boxing guys coming over? Remember the Conor McGregor? There was so much buzz about Conor versus Floyd. People thinking, oh, what if he hits that one left shot?
Right.
I don't see any with this one. I legitimately see no shot for Francis. Tyson Fury's a giant. He's not only a power puncher, but he dances, he boxes beautifully at his size. So do you have any interest in these crossover fights, and specifically Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury?
Like you said, as far as the entertainment, I don't mind it, because that's what it is at the end of the day. It's entertainment, the build-up, but the fight itself, I think it is a mismatch when UFC fighters or MMA fighters jump over to a boxing ring, and vice versa. If we go into the octagon, we have no chance, and that's being real. I don't know how to rap, I don't know how to wrestle. So I as far as entertainment wise, I don't mind it. I don't mind watching these fights. We got which one? I don't want to throw it out there, but it is what it is. You brought up something like this, but the Nate Diaz fight.
Oh, Nate Diaz, Jake Paul.
Jake Paul,
yeah.
Another one of those fights.
What the thing is with Jake Paul that I found, I feel like I've just lost interest in it, because I feel like the whole point of it was everybody hated Jake Paul's guts and they want to see him get knocked out. He doesn't seem like that bad of a guy, because he seems to be doing some pretty cool stuff in boxing. So I don't feel like people hate him as much. And he's also not, I know he could never be in the likes of a real professional boxer, but he doesn't embarrass himself in the ring as much as everybody thought that he would.
Yeah.
So it's kind of lost its luster for me when he fights in a way, because he's not as bad as we thought that he was, but he's also, he knows how to pick the right guys. I never feel like he goes in above his weight.
He doesn't, and something I do respect about him is, like you said, outside of the ring, what he does, for people, he helps out a lot. And not only that he did not, and he is not making a joke out of boxing. And what I mean by that is because he's respecting as far as training. This guy's been training. He's been in the gym ever since the pandemic, and I can remember just going to social media, and the guy's in the gym 24/7, training, perfecting his craft. And you've seen it, fight after fight, getting better and better. So that's a way of showing respect to boxing. And other fighters that, YouTubers or whatever you want to call them, social media sensations, they just get in the ring for a payday and, just because they got a name, but they really don't respect the sport by practicing and learning the craft. So you got to give it up to Jake for that.
Abner, appreciate the time, man. This was a thrill for me. Can't wait to hear you on the call this weekend. Showtime pay-per-view, Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford for the Undisputed Welterweight Championship of the World. Thank you so much for the time, man. Really appreciate it.
My man.